All right. Well, welcome everybody. We do like to have a little bit of fun, not just this time of year, but because it is absolutely abhorrent to be bored to tears in any type of presentation, especially a government presentation. What just happened in Q4, that was 2.5 months ago now, believe it or not. Use it or lose it spending. They had to spend everything, every dollar by 9:30, and it started all over again, which is why we have for you. You can get it from Sam Radar. You just hover over the menu. You can see the resources. I will also pop this in. I might even have it still in here. Let's see if it's still here. Let's boop. Nope. That is not the right link. But if you go to samradar.com, you can download the report for free, and you can get the spending report. We will be talking about this today because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Is Brian here yet? Let me see if Brian made it in.
Brian is not, but Rafa made it in. And
Rafa's in.
Hey,
hold on a second. I got to promote you. Rafael Marrero. What do you got there? Let's see. Do you have your
hang on a second.
All right,
let's see if I can turn my
Dave, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
You'll be back in 2 minutes. You're gonna go find yourself a sweater because you feel like an outcast.
Feeling shame. No sweater shaming, Dave.
I will sweater shame anybody. All right. Rafa's going to turn his camera on. While we're waiting for that, I want to point out here that we will be talking extensively about this column right here today, which is the number of offers received, right? And the biggest thing that we're going to be talking about is the fact that the vast majority of contracts, you can see the number of contracts right here, have 5 or fewer, certainly not 5 or more. So that's a bunch of contracts that are right there. So with that, we will make sure that we're going to be talking about that. And one of the biggest things that we need to realize is Q2 for fiscal year 2023 starts in 2 weeks. That's what's happening now. So we need to be getting ourselves out in front of those folks today. So today's 3 questions, the hot seat questions, is what does it mean that 79% of the contracts in FY 2022 had 5 or fewer responses? What does that mean? And what do buyers need from your company for you to be one of the 5 on the short list? Because that's exactly what it is. And what step can I take to get in the front door so I can sell my company and our product to the federal government? That actually is coming from you guys, and we love the participation. So if you'd like to let us know who you are and the favorite movie, your favorite Christmas movie, you can pop that into the chat. If you're going to be asking questions, there's 89 people here. So let's do us a favor. Do us all a favor. You can raise your hand if you'd like to communicate with us, or you can pop it in the Q&A, and that way we can track it, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of nonsense in the chat. But the non-nonsense goes in the Q&A. All right. So briefing controls. Everybody's been on a Zoom since then, but you can go up for the past 2.5 years. Go up to the top. You can select side by side and make us bigger or smaller. And a quick disclaimer: this is not affiliated, endorsed by GSA or any other federal agency. So that's one thing. And then it's informational purposes only, because we're not lawyers here and we don't even play them on TV. So that's the other. And then for Govies, if we have folks that are from the government, this is voluntary, right? It's not your engagement does not indicate an endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor. So now you can talk, and that comes directly from GSA. So from today, we will connect you with some experts. We'll be discussing what works. We're highlighting sponsors and partners. And if you'd like to stick around and see samradar.com at the end, there's a lot at play here. This is taking over the world, and we love that. Ralph, are you there? You got your camera cooking? Okay, I don't know where your camera is, dude. But yeah, turn it on. Let's see your outfit. So stick around if you'd like to see Sam Radar, because we will be doing that. So why are you guys here today? Let me see something. I'm here today because you're new to federal contracting. Maybe you have federal contracts as a sub and you want to be a prime. Were you one of the 116,501 prime winners in fiscal year 2023 and you want to grow, or some nut sent you an email. There you go. And I know who the nut is. So welcome back. If you've been here before, fantastic. If this is your first time, welcome aboard. We really appreciate you guys being here. We do have some session handouts that'll be in the chat. You'll have a bunch of things. We'll probably populate even that with more information after we're done. But let's make sure that we get to our regularly scheduled program. So we did ask this question. So what one word, put it in the chat, would you use to describe the federal government market? What do you think that one word is? I got a bunch of them here. We got a bunch that massive. And some of those are big and they're good for us. And other ones we have as red marks, right? Because red is it's Christmas time, first of all. So red and green. So it's massive, but it's also makes it complicated, right? So has opportunities, balanced, unbalanced. Woo. Hard to get business with, set up for bigger business. Wow, like that one. Open market, right? Opportunity, difficult, huge. It's huge. Layers, obtuse, opportunity, bloated. Love that. Confusing, challenging, business, and scattered. Let's see if there's any other ones. You can pop some in here and let us know as well. Awesome. The federal government is awesome. Challenging, chaos, disarray.
Hey, what do you think of Reginald's response? Unfair.
Unfair. So Reginald, unfair. That is awesome. Oh, we got Hebs here. Hold on a second. Hang on, Brian. Hold on, buddy. We got to get where's my participation? Here we go. I got to promote you so that we can actually see you.
I'll read some of these
co-host. All right. Brian Hebel is here. We'll introduce everybody in just a minute. But what do we got there, Brian?
It's your government contracting officer wishing everyone a happy holiday. And I didn't like Reginald saying it's unfair to be a contracting officer.
You're covered up, man. We can't see you.
I think you got your little like Post-it note over the camera.
Post-it note.
I did.
It's Santa Sam. It's Santa Sam.
Happy holiday, whatever. Happy Hanukkah. We get them all in Santa's household. But Santa was a former contracting officer. And bah humbug, all you people talking about it being unfair and all that. I don't like that one iota. But with that said, I'm happy to be here and provide a little insight to the audience on how we inside government think.
Love it. For those of you who don't know Brian Hebel, we've been working together for a little while. He is a former federal contracting officer with CMS. How long were you at CMS?
32
Brian?
years. And we get something I can tell you, Christmas gift you ever get.
What's the best Christmas gift you ever get?
No. Winning a federal contract is better than a Christmas gift.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
That right now.
That is a fact. And Rafa, your camera's not working, Jake. What is up with you, man? Oh, let's see. You have co-host presentation, so you got it. So there you go. For those of you who don't know Brian, he's a character. Obviously, we're all characters here. But some of us are better characters because we have sweaters, unlike Greg Clark. You didn't see my sweater, did you? Did you, Brian? Here you go. Here's my sweater. Wait for the finish. Bam! It's got the back. There you go. So there you go. All right. So one word description. Reginald says your beard's crooked. Freaking Santa can't even get his beard straight.
Reginald is on fire. He's saying that Brian is not only unfair, but his beard is also crooked. So he is killing it right now.
Well, thank gosh, we tried to do a virtual last year or 2 years ago, right when COVID hit. Did it online, and we got scammers coming on. So we had to stop it. But we actually did a virtual online for kids that year, and we didn't do it last year because we got too many scammers. But Dave's not a scammer. So
there's scammers in this joint.
Contracts. So yep. So I've been retired 30. Well, I've been retired 5 years. Was contracting officer for 32. and we're actually doing training to federal people on technical evaluations of proposals and CPARs, and they team up with Dave on some of the training I do, and we've trained 3,500 people in the past 2 years. So
Crazy, man.
CPARs training, FAR training, and some of that other stuff. But
that's awesome, man.
I'm just going on for the ride, Dave. Sorry.
Hey, that's what it's all about. We're all along for the ride. Let's see. We got somebody with their hand raised. Hold on one sec. Nina Freed. Go ahead. What's on your mind real quick before we jump into this? Or is that an inadvertent hand raise, Nina?
Maybe she was giving support of bad Santa. I mean, Santa.
Looks like it was lowered. Looks like that.
All right.
hand
Well,
was accidental.
if it's not for real, Nina, we'll get you. All right. So some of the biggest things we have here. Let's see. Let's see if there's any other. No question yet. Nina said, okay. All right. So confusing. Nina says bureaucratic. Can't imagine that to be the case, huh? Bureaucratic, unfair, as they said. Life's not fair, Reginald. Just gonna. I'm just kidding. All right. So income from Ruby. Love that. Painful at times, but worth it. Convoluted from James. Complicated from Tanya. Complicated from Reginald. Sally White says no words. All right.
And Dave, fortunately, Santa cares about giving gifts to kids, but contracting officers don't care who gets the award. We don't care.
You don't care.
Get it done. No, I don't care what contractor you are. As long as the record's going to be okay, we're good to go.
That's right. Because all you care about getting the paperwork done. That's what you care about, right?
Get the paperwork done. Go on to the next one.
That's right. That's what contracting officers do. And one of the biggest ones that folks say is unknown. Love that. And guess what? That's why we're here. And quick introductions. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal. We do data marketing, business development, and federal marketing support. We've been around since 2009, over $500 million in direct and indirect sales. You'll see things on the right-hand side where we can help you get smart about the marketplace. We can help you reach the stakeholders, including program managers. This one right here is if you would like to reach program managers, the only way that we know to be able to do it, govbrief.us. You'll see a whole bunch of things on the left-hand side there that we'll be talking about in 2023. And if you would like to get involved, there's space opening up in the middle of February. And space is limited on GovBrief, and it is growing. So we really appreciate your folks that are going to be there. We also do industry briefings with these kind of characters like Rafael Marrero and Greg Clark and Brian Hebel. You'll see he's got the FAR crash course on there. He's got doing business with HHS because he had a little bit of business in history with HHS. We also work with Jason Moy. I'm there as well as other folks. And we did. When's your next white paper with the Fed, Brian? When does that happen? You know?
If you get lucky, you might get that in your stocking, Dave. But we don't have it on the schedule yet. It'll probably be in February or March.
February or March. And who is that does that with us?
Our crash course in January, and our simulated technical evaluation panel training that we do. We're my former agency. We're doing it 4 times next year. We'll be opening that up at the end of January, where we give industry and experience of being on a tech panel with a guy that was a tech panel chair on 78 procurements.
Love that, man. And that's a view from the inside, guys. I'm from the outside. Most folks here are from the outside, but Brian Hebel's on the inside. This right here, samradar.com, is a game changer. We'll talk about that. But most importantly, the biggest thing you need to know is it gets you to the other 98% that never hit sam.gov. How in the world can it possibly be, Brian Hebel, that 98% don't hit sam.gov? I wonder.
Yeah. IDIQs, GSAs, right?
All those things.
Sole source.
And shortlisted opportunities, because contracting officers have to put it out to full and open competition all the time. Right, Brian?
Oh, sure. Right, Dave. Like Santa. The most awards are like Santa, right? You never see them.
Oh, he's on fire, ladies and gentlemen. We also monitor sam.gov and GSA eBuy, and we can help you market directly to GSA to GSA and contracting holders using your advantage, GSA advantage, if you like to. And we have Rafael Marrero, who apparently cannot get his camera working again.
Well, no. It says unable to start video. The host has stopped it.
The host has stopped the video.
Yeah.
That is
You know
Own
that-
it,
impossible.
you know
Dave.
that
Own
guy?
it, Dave. Dr.
Make
Raphael.
a co-host. I know why, because you came in again. So go ahead and try again, Mr. Doctor. The doctor, there he is.
Hey,
There he is.
I got
He's
the-
there.
Well, I got a hoodie.
Hold on. We gotta see
Oh my
his
gosh.
just a
As
hoodie.
I live
I
and
got my
breathe, he's
polar,
really
I got
wearing
my
his
polar
hoodie.
hoodie on.
You gotta let Rafa talk so you can see him.
Okay, you can see my I don't have an ugly sweater. This was given to me by my grandkids. So I've got a polar bear.
Okay.
All right.
Man. Well, you fail for the ugly sweater contest. I'm just
Sorry.
saying.
I don't do ugly.
All right, but what you do is you help folks with their federal branding. We'll talk a little bit about that, socioeconomic certifications and some of the financing components. You can reach out to Rafael Marrero right there. The good doctor's in the house. We also have Greg Clark with DK Associates. How you doing, Greg? Did he leave on us?
You shamed him, Dave. He's
muted.
like, he's
named him-
got
Shamed him.
All right,
I'm doing-
I'm doing
I'm a
very well.
sweater.
I'm doing very well. How are you? And
Dave.
what I didn't tell you is we just picked up a little over $1 million a year, 5-year contract with DoD on Thursday.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Very nice. So we will be talking. We do have a question for you about responding to RFQs. So that's coming up because that's what you do. You do proposal writing. You help with GSA schedules and other contract vehicles. Other contract vehicles, kind of like the IDIQs and BPAs, like Brian was talking about. Apparently,
Exactly
that. He helps to write those puppies. We also have Sally White with Echo Wolf Solutions. She is, and I'll stop sharing so that I can do this right. With us, we have Sally White, and she's awesome. She's a master connector. She handles things with LinkedIn. And if you're doing anything in live format with events, she's the one that you got to know. Sally White is in the house. How you doing, Sally?
Thank you so much. So happy to be here. So new kind of cool thing with LinkedIn and other social media. We've figured out, as many other people who do social media, that you can automate your LinkedIn posts, Twitter, Facebook. So all the people's like, I don't have time to go on LinkedIn and like and share and et cetera. We can automate it. So very exciting news. And we'll be talking more about that. Happy to be here. Thank you.
That's awesome. And Peter, we actually have something for you today. Somebody's asking about funding, and Peter handles some of the funding as well to be able to fund businesses. So what's your specialty there, Peter Timbus?
Well, we've been funding government contractors for 31 years. I think what makes it different, we're going to fund you regardless of the size of your company or experience, and we're going to lend to your opportunity rather than your financial statements. So it's a unique opportunity. Did you hear the bus pull out front? The ISI bus just pulled in. There are more resources here for everybody on this team. Everything you need to be successful in the federal government arena is right here. Get on the ISI federal bus.
I love it, man. And you help folks.
What about the Tim bus?
Well, no, we're going to go ISI federal right now because we got everybody together.
Yeah, it is. This is good because we don't usually have everybody, and we do have Brian Hebel. He is impersonating Santa. He's not the real one. I'm afraid to say he's not the real one. I know that's shocking for everybody here, but he does have a lot of experience in the government. And there he is. See, I told you he wasn't the real guy.
I like you, Dave, but I'm not gonna keep that beard on. But I did like the hair.
All right. So we appreciate you. And if you'd like to check out acquisitionhelp.com, a lot of training for those of you who are a little bit more mature in the contracting cycle. He's the one that you're going to want to know about because he helps with CPARs. He helps with understanding the FAR. He helps with proposals and technical training. He is the guy that can help you understand all those pieces. And he doesn't even want consulting work. He just does the training. Right, Brian?
Yep. But if anybody has any questions about how we think on the inside, shoot me an email.
You go. So, yep, that's good. Today, we're going to be talking about the spending summary. You can get that again at samradar.com. Just pop up in the menu and look for the resources, and you will see the spending report. It includes the NAICS for 2022, as well as what just happened in November. So we're going to be talking about that. So today, the hot seat question for everybody, and I'm going to open this up for everybody. So this is the first question is for the hot seat question. What does it mean? It's actually 89%. What does it mean that 89% of the contracts in fiscal year 2022 had 5 or fewer responses? And somebody, Reginald, I think it was saying it's not fair. And some people might even say that it's not fair and it's illegal. Can you believe that, Brian? Some might say that it's illegal. Some aren't going to believe that it's true, that this is actually not. But this comes from FPDS, right, Brian?
Yeah.
We're collecting the data. What is FPDS, Brian Hebel?
Federal Data Procurement System. That's where anytime a contracting officer does a $0 mod, a $10 mod, a $100 million mod, the action is in there.
The action is in there.
Yep.
And guess what else you can find? You can find that by UEI, right? You can track UEIs in there, and you can see what your competitors are doing. In fact, we built a system to do that. It's called SAM Radar, and we're going to be talking about that at the end of this presentation. So let's see what they're saying. Buyers had a short list of vendors. We set it up, and everybody was listening on the way in. They have a short list of vendors. Oh, they're paying attention to SAM postings on SAM.gov. Got it. Were you one of the six? It's actually 116,561. So that we have folks that did win in fiscal year 2022. Fantastic. Congratulations. We're glad you're here. And that's what we're about, right? We want to do that. So we do have a question we have a couple of questions from the group that I thought are really, really good from the folks that registered. So first one comes from Carl at Intech. Carl, if you're here, raise your hand because I'd love to get a little bit more insight on what Intech is. But we'd like to know how I can position Intech as a contractor for supply of windows for federal projects. And yes, the government does buy windows, not just Microsoft Windows, right, Brian Hebel?
Yeah.
They actually buy everything, right? So then the second question is, what step can I take to get in the front door so I can sell my company and our product to the federal government? We actually turned that into the third question that we're going to ask today. We have a couple of other questions from the group. From Stacy from Chosen First Cleaning Services, LLC. I want to learn how to promote my business to the federal government to win contracts for my company size. A couple of great questions there. First of all, how do we promote? And how do we find what it's in our sweet spot? Because if you're Lockheed Martin, your sweet spot is like, 10 billion or $50 billion, where somebody who's like Chosen First Cleaning Service is going to be in the tens of thousands, right? So I want to learn how to sell my business to the federal government. Love it. And how to get capital to grow my business. Brian, let's put up, no, it's not Brian, it's Peter Timbus. Peter Timbus, how can they get capital to help grow the business? And you said you lend to the opportunity, right?
Correct. One of the things that will help them initially do is we'll give them a financial letter of support.
Real important.
Which is very important, stating to the government, should the government award the contract to them, that we'll be there financially to support them. And one of the biggest areas that we can add value is that we're gonna support their payroll right from day one. So they're gonna start people on a contract. They're gonna, usually in the federal government arena, you have employees work for a couple of weeks. You have a 1-week payroll delay, but you have an invoice to the government the following month. Well, we're going to provide all that payroll support. So a lot of our companies will get 4, 5, 6 payrolls before they ever get $1 from the government, which is huge.
I couldn't agree more. And what I love about you, Peter, is you understand the federal government where banks do not. Just
Correct.
saying.
Thanks. We can get an opportunity from beginning to end in 2 business days. And we're very, very responsive.
Love it. So if you want to reach out to Peter, there's his information. That's great. From Stacy, you probably want to talk to Peter. That's awesome. So reach out to Peter and he will help you. So in order for us to really start cracking this nut, we got to take a look at who the stakeholders are, because for those of you that are brand new, you might not even know who these folks are. So you have contracting officers and specialists. That is what Brian was, right, Brian?
Yep.
Right. So, and what was your warrant capability? What was your maximum amount that you could spend?
Just about unlimited my whole career. It's better than Santa. Yeah.
Better than Sandy's unlimited.
Better.
Better.
Than Santa.
Better than Santa.
Santa couldn't fit all those $1 bills down the chimney that we could spend, I'm sure.
What was your average spend for you personally every year?
Well, when I retired, I had three divisions, and it was about $1.5 billion. On average, when I was a division director most of my career, and it was probably about 500 million or so, give or take.
So 500 million to 1.5 billion. That's his little Santa hands had his fingers on that kind of money, and helped contractors all the time. And I really appreciate everything that you did while you were there. But a lot of the folks don't even spend time with contractors, but we're going to talk about how you can do that as well.
Yeah. And I will say, Dave, I met with 2 contractors a week, probably last 10 years of my career, just to kind of help them through the process a little bit. But, and I'll add some value to that as we chat here.
And your favorite thing is when somebody came in and said, "Hey, I pay your salary, and what do you have for me today?" Right? That's exactly.
Well, actually, on a couple of times, if you were an 8A and I had something on my forecast, my individual forecast in my division, it was a 8A contract. Sometimes that actually worked okay.
Yeah, but most of the time, you want people to come in and say, "I can help you." What?
Well, yep, and actually wrote a book in 2015. Now, I'm not marketing my book. If you want to check it out, it's still sell about 10 copies a week. But in the book, the kind of reason I wrote it is I just see contractors coming in and not really know what to do. And really what I put in there is don't meet with the government unless you're going to help them save money, solve a problem, tell them about industry trends or new technology. You could respond to RFIs and source of sought notices. But most of the government people in general aren't going to meet with, thanks, Dave. It's a great stocking stuffer.
It's a great stocking stuffer.
Your 5-year-old would love that book. But anyhow, really, if most of the program people aren't going to meet with you, they don't have the time, particularly with COVID and people aren't in the office, you really need to help them solve a problem or save money, generally speaking. And that's really what you want to be thinking about. Now, if you're like the woman you mentioned before, and who it was laundry services that you had mentioned, Dave, maybe you could save them some money on something new that's out or a trend. And
sure,
if DOD and they're doing laundry on the bases, I'm sure they'll be happy to save a couple nickels, from that standpoint.
And I actually we have Carl. I think Carl, you're the one that had the question, right? That's you, Carl, right? I think it's Carl, and you can talk. I got you. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to get to your question. I think your question was one of the best ones that I'd seen, and I'm definitely going to get you. I want to know more about what's the name of your company again, Carl?
Intech Installation Technologies.
Intech Installation. So we're going to learn about that too. And if you want to share out your camera, I will promote you to a panelist so that you can share out your camera, and I will, if I can do that. Once you get in there, I'll be able to do it. If you. Oh, okay. I made him I'm actually made, there we go. I'm going to make sure I'll make a co-host so that you can share if you'd like to share your camera. Okay. So real quick, before we dive into your question, Carl, because I do think it's really important, we also have to reach program manager and project managers. We have contract officer representatives, also known as what, Brian Hebel?
Cores
or COTARs, right? And then we have senior management. So if we take a look at how it works, we have the politicals that are appointed, right? The politicals, that they come in with initiatives and things like that the president has. We have a senior executive service, which is, were you ever SES, Brian?
No, I was 15 when I retired.
He was 15 when he retired. But so you have SES and GS-15s, right? And then you have program on one side of the house and you have procurement on the other side of the house. So the program people care about getting the job done. I'm not saying Brian didn't care about getting the job done, but he doesn't care how good of an architect you are, or how great your IT solutions are, or even how great your cleaning services are. Do you, Brian?
No.
No, you care about getting the contract.
Well, we do in a
done.
way. No, I mean, if there are performance problems, we get engaged, so I'm saying no facetiously, but the program office is certainly more engaged in that than the contracting people are. But
That's exactly right. And you care about getting the contract done because you have a stack of contracts if you're a contracting officer, you have a stack of contracts on your desk, right?
It's actually, we're probably doing more modifications than we are contracts. Probably for every contract we award, we're probably doing 5 to 10 modifications to existing contracts. So the contracting shops are not just doing awards; they got a whole lot of other stuff going on.
What's a good example of a modification so everybody knows?
Well, you got a $2 million contract, and they want to add a thingamajig, and it's going to be you got to send them a package, get a proposal, and you're going to add $200,000 to a contract.
And that goes out for everybody and their mother to see because it's going to get bid on again, right?
No, just a mod. It's just nobody. It's just
That's not fair, Brian. Not fair. I'm quoting Reginald.
I think at my former agency, and I'm looking at data, they had 287 awards and they had 4,500 contract actions. So for every one contract action, every contract award, there were 20 other actions, and that's probably low on the spectrum for some agencies. I would tend to think.
So the long and short is you have a need from program throws over the fence to the procurement, and it looks like this. If in the handouts, you'll see the winnable opportunity matrix. You have the program manager, that's a PM, throws it over the fence to the contracting officer, and that's what creates an opportunity. It doesn't just come from the ether, does it, Brian?
No.
Nope. So the hot seat question that we were just talking about. Let's round table this just a minute, and I want to go back to the question that Carl had. Carl, tell us a little bit about your company and what you guys do.
Okay. We're a minority-owned company. We've been in business 37 years. Our specialty is Windows. We're a Quaker supplier, so we both supply and install depending on the situation and the occasion. We focus on both residential and commercial.
Awesome.
And this is dealing with both new construction and existing.
And have you sold anything to government yet?
Not as yet. So that my boss, who's the owner, the crazy one, is the one that's reached out to me and wanted me to participate and gather as much information as possible and to see if there's any way we can make a connection.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here. And so I love your question. So position you for federal contracts, right? This is what you supply. You supply Windows, right?
Right.
But I think everybody here is under this, it has the same thing. And then I love this one. What step can I take to get in the front door? Because in order to get to where you want to go, you at least have to start the conversation, right, Carl?
Exactly.
So, and I think everybody here has the same kind of a scenario. So I really appreciate that. What are some of the things that, so Rafael Marrero, what are some of the things that you would recommend to Carl so that he looks like he belongs? Rafa, you there? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What are some of the things that would make him look like he belongs, Brian, if Rafa's not here?
Yep. I even think taking a step back and my question would even be, who's buying Windows?
Cool.
Right? Because like I work for CMS, I work for the Medicare headquarters, but the Windows are probably being bought through GSA. So I would go in, Carl, and try to find out who's buying Windows first, because it might not be the individual agencies. It might be GSA Building Services, but then you get the DOD. It could be DOD is probably buying them directly the way they buy, I would tend to think. And then maybe if you get to the Department of Interior, like they got all these different places on Interior. So I think the question is who's buying Windows, and then how are they buying them? Are they buying them via GSA schedule? Or so I think you need to find out first who's buying them. and probably on Windows, like you might look like it's a one-time pop, right? Like my agency maybe might replace Windows once every 30 years, but if it's
Right.
through GSA is probably doing it a million times. Yeah, not a million times. Literally, they might have 100 times where they're replacing them. Or DoD with all the old bases, I'm sure DoD's not using GSA; they're doing it themselves. So I would look at GSA first, and then DoD. But I think the first question you have to ask yourself: who's buying Windows?
Okay.
From that
Thank
standpoint.
you.
I
had
think we
somebody-
might,
I had
I think
somebody
we
who-
might know somebody that can tell that information, huh, Brian?
Yeah. I had a guy call me about spotted pots, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who's buying spotted pots and trailers and stuff like that. Well, it's FEMA, right? So he's focusing in on FEMA when it's an emergency. So, it just depends. But I think the first step is, who's buying. And then the second question, I'll just say to you, Carl, is how do they get to you? I can't tell you how many times I had people come in my office. And like one guy was a cybersecurity selling an NSA and all this stuff. And he's pitching his stuff because he wants to sell to the Medicare headquarters. I say, how do I get to you? And he said, well, what do you mean? So, even before you pitch somebody, we want to buy quick, easy, and efficient. So the second part of your pitch is you need to make sure the agency you're targeting can get to you. Otherwise,
Okay.
you're wasting your time. So that's like step 1 and 2.
And Greg Clark, what is one of the ways that they get to you?
Well, they can get to you through your GSA schedule. I was just going to ask Brian, how do you want to get to this? Do you want to have an e-commerce site? Do you want us to be on the schedule? Does everybody have their own procured purchasing mechanism?
Well, then that gets to step 3 is how does that particular agency buy, right? How can they get to you? How do you buy? Because if you're, let's just say, and probably not in this case, but I could say if it's GSA Oasis, let's just say, right? I've never bought on Oasis. I don't know how that thing works. So if you want to try to pitch to somebody that doesn't buy that way. So if Carl wanted to pitch to DoD about buying on GSA, and GSA has their own kind of internal vehicles. So I guess step 3 is how's that particular agency buy? Number 1, how can they get to you? But number 2 is how do they buy? So that's like 3 basics, first big steps, but they're really, really big steps.
Okay.
They are. And that's great advice. Is that valuable to you, Carl?
Very valuable. And it's
Awesome.
a great start.
And Greg.
Oh, I'll say,
Oh, oh,
That's it.
Thank you, Santa.
And so, yeah, we'll make sure that you get in touch with Greg Clark. Because when I looked at your information when you registered, I was like, Carl is ready. I don't know who the Mad Hatter is behind the scenes with the owner, but you're asking all the right questions. And I think most people are thinking the same thing, right, Carl?
Right.
Is that so?
Hey, Carl, just to not call you out or anything, I'm looking at your LinkedIn page. Feel free to give me a call. I can give you some free ideas on how to enhance that. So when they do reach out, that your LinkedIn and your social media will match your superpower.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Love it. And so I'm going to ask the next question. What do buyers need for my company to be one of the 5? Because they need to know who you are, right? So if you're registered, here you go. Here you go, Brian. I'm registered at sam.gov. I have everything I need.
Well, it gets back to how's the agency buy, right? So
And and I know you were doing all your day, every day, you were just searching sam.gov so you can find somebody to award something to.
I do look at it every week now, but that's just a small part of the picture, right?
Now you do because you're not in there anymore.
Yeah.
You didn't look at that. The only time that I know of contracting officers that would be looking just to make sure that they were registered. So if you did make an award that you could actually execute, right?
Yeah, I've been around so long. I remember when sam.gov, for those, I don't know if anybody else is on there, remember, put it in the chat. Federal Business Daily was a daily publication, and we would put something out and we would go back in and look just to make sure it was posted in there. So you're right, Dave. Contracting officers probably go in just to make sure it's posted, from that standpoint. But they used to, industry used to get that paper every day, and you'd have to go through all the papers in I forget how it was organized. And you would have to go in and find your individual action to make sure it was in there. But industry would go through 50 pages a day to see what was posted to bid on it.
So for those of you who are wondering, Brian was around when they were still chiseling it and tablets.
I was around before the bar. Santa's been around a long time.
Santa's been around a long time. All right, fantastic. So what do buyers need? So Raiders and Sam, they'll find your company? No, they won't. Sending capabilities to OSDBU and SBA. I love to argue with Brian on this one because he had a good OSDBU and your small business folks. But a lot of folks, you're pitching somebody that doesn't have budget or decision-making authority. Just saying.
I was actually pitching a product just about a year ago. You talk in your cell phone, it tells you if you have COVID. So I was pitching to different people around the federal government, and we ended up getting a meeting with somebody high up in FDA. We ended up getting a meeting with the Assistant Surgeon General. So it still can, if you can help them solve a problem, you still can get meetings even with a schmuck like me, from that matter. So you just have to really help them save money or solve a problem, and you've got a better chance.
Awesome. Hey, I got a message from Todd. Said, I think it was last month y'all had me on before talking about CMMC and contracting, but I hadn't heard back about partnering. Holy cow, we dropped the ball on you, Todd. Sorry, we'll make sure that we get with you in this next week. Sorry about that, Todd. And then Tatiana says, FiberTest is working instrumentation for early detection of cancers and all versions of COVID, current and new, looking for collab for approve and production. Great question. A lot of that can happen with grants, right? Right, Brian?
Yeah.
So that's one place you want to look at, Tatiana, and we'll make sure that we reach out to you as well. We have APMG internationally accredited by cybersecurity training around the NIST cybersecurity framework, which is core to the May 21 executive order execution. How do you get the word out? Mike Battistella, GovBrief is the number one way to do that. So we'll talk with you about GovBrief. And then a very small company, Tatiana, that's awesome. It doesn't matter how big you are, right, Brian? There's ways to be able to do it. And Mike Battistella says, I can't get procurement folks to even respond. Got an answer for that coming up, if you'd like. Can somebody enable saving of the chat by attendees? I don't think so, Jay, but we'll get you a copy of that. Jay Talbot's awesome. He's a Sam Radar user. I know that for sure because he's always around. All right, and Todd, Mike wants to work with you, Todd, so that you guys can work together. Awesome. Got through the Q&A right there. So the next question from the group comes from Don. Don was here earlier from Tan Property Group. I'd like to learn about applying for HubZone and filling out their SBA. And that, Rafa, you can talk about that. Don, you gave us a little brief overview. Raphael, tell us about HubZone. What is HubZone, first of all, and how do you get that certification?
Sure. So HubZone stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zone. And these are areas designated by the U.S. Census where the median poverty level is above the norm and where the government has a government contracting program, right? They're scattered throughout the country. There are millions of people that live in hub zones, right? And so what the government is trying to do is encourage economic development by giving those companies that set up shop certain preferences and in the way they're treated as a small business. For example, if you're 35% of your employees must live in a hub zone, okay, in any designated federal hub zone, doesn't mean that one. Your main location or corporate headquarters has to be located in a hub zone. You must be a small business by size standard, and of course, certified as such by the SBA. There are many perks to this. The biggest one of which is 10% price evaluation preference, right?
What does that mean? 10% price evaluation?
Well, it means fundamentally that when competing, all things considered, when competing on price, you'll get a 10% price preference when evaluating your pricing versus the competitor. Okay. The other thing is for certain NAICS codes, you may qualify to be a firm and grow and be considered by employee headcount and not by your averaged income over the last 5 years or 3 years as it was before. So there are companies that are in the manufacturing space they sew or manufacture clothing, or they do canned goods and other things for DLA. They're manufacturers and they're in hub zones. And guess what? They have 500-600 employees, pretty sizable small business and still considered a small business. Okay, so we can help you determine if you do qualify. We will give you a straight, no BS answer. We will do a free evaluation. And if you'd like to, then consider us to perform the service of getting you registered for SAM registration for your hub zone certification. We can do that for you. We can also help you maintain your compliance because it's tricky, right? 35% employees living in a hub zone. There's turnover in certain industries higher than other. So there's ways and means to maintain compliance within the confines of the law. And we have an expert team that does just that. And our work is done in-house, Dave. It's not farmed out to anybody, right?
So Don, you want to talk with Raphael and he'll help you understand the ins and outs of that. Awesome. I send all my certification stuff to these guys. And then responding to an RFQ, Greg, let's talk about what an RFQ is versus an RFP, and whether or not that's something you would want to take a look at or help with.
Yeah, and it's one form of soliciting proposals from contractors to fulfill a requirement. They might send out an RFP, they might send an RFQ, it might be an IFB, it might be a task order, whatever it is. You evaluate that solicitation, whatever form it comes in, and you look at the performance requirements. What's the job to do? Can you do it? The proposal requirements, what do they require you to submit for evaluation? Do you meet those minimum mandatory requirements? And then look at the evaluation criteria and say, well, if the award's going to be based on this, honestly, what are our chances of being successful? And if you feel that it's right in your wheelhouse, then we can work together in getting your response prepared, so that everything that needs to be addressed is addressed. It's 100% compliant and it's formatted the way the evaluators are expecting.
And that's important, right? So the evaluators, and Brian can talk to this a little bit too, but the evaluators, you might think you know what it is, but a lot of times it's actually laid out as to what they're asking for. An RFQ is usually a shorter type of a turn than an RFP, where it's a full blown. But you're going to have some task orders that are more complicated than the original RFP.
And I know a lot of contractors get a little nervous in what to put, so they just start adding things to it. Well, we have this brochure. We're gonna all this stuff that we had put together. We're gonna add this to our proposal, and this proposal won us a contract before, so put that in there too. And then the evaluators get it, and they realize you don't know how to read a solicitation, and you thought that you were helping yourself, and you're hurting yourself. Because just like Raphael takes care of people to get them procurement ready, so you look the part. Well, once you're procurement ready and you look the part, your proposals need to look the part as well. So that when you're only your proposal, they don't see you, they don't see anything else, they just see your proposal. And that's how you show them that you're not a risk. You have your act together, you submitted everything that they've asked you to submit, it's formatted the way that they expected to be submitted. You are a low risk option, you have a good fair price, everything is in there good. They would be fully confident in awarding that contract to you, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And,
But yeah,
and Dave, I'll just say, in fact, I have to schedule it. So we do that simulated technical evaluation panel training that I mentioned earlier. We're doing that on January 26th is our pre-meet, February 2nd. It's the same training we give to the government with a guy that was on 78 technical panels, chair over 15 years, his only job. And there's nobody in the government or outside of government or that's really does the training that it created with 3 former colleagues, 1 from industry, this tech panel chair. And we give you a statement of work, evaluation criteria, 3 short proposals, 2 pages each, resumes, 1 page each, score sheets. You score the proposals. And then we treat you with this guy that was a tech panel chair on 78 procurements. We treat you as if you're on a government tech panel for a day. And we are actually training. We did it 3 times at my former agency. Last year, we got a 5.0. We only let 10 people take it at a time. We got 5.0 out of 5.0 on the survey of 10 people that did the survey. And we're doing it again 4 times this year. So anyway, Greg got to take our training. I'm just really proud of it. It's the APMP, nobody from APMP, the Association of Proposal Management Professionals, or the National Contract Management Association. Nobody's created anything like it. So we're just proud of it. Sorry to take up the time to say.
No, it's all right, man, because that applies, right? So it's always important to understand what's happening internally, right? And what they're thinking about. And because it's not always, if you're not used to bidding and you're not used to responding, it's real important to know how they're thinking. Because
Dave, the mind blower is the guy that was a tech panel chair on 78 procurements, all information technology procurements. He starts the training. He says, I can't even spell IT. And I was the tech panel chair on 78 procurement. So everybody take that and leave that. That'll be Santa's gift. That's just a mind blowing thing in itself, because it's not, anyhow, it's really, and you don't need to spell IT to be a tech panel chair, just FYI. So
I love it. All right. So hot seat question number 3, then we're going to get everybody out of here. What step can I take to get in the front door? This is directly from you, Carl. So I can sell a company a product in federal government. And we talked about this before. First of all, research the buyers, how they're buying, and target the buyers the way they want to be targeted. That's one thing. Monitor your competitors so you can see their relationships. One of my favorite things to do. We'll talk about that in just a minute if you want to stick around. And then presenting your solution to a program manager, always very difficult to get in front of those folks. Was it you, Carl, that was saying you can't get to the people either? Was that somebody?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay, cool. And I do want to give a shout out to Raphael, because he also helps with the procurement readiness. And what that means is getting a capability statement so you can reach out to him for that, you look like you belong. Right now, while you're filling this out, the number one job, so we can get you guys out of here, your number one job is to build relationships. I cannot tell you how important this is. If you don't believe that relationships matter, then you're not reading what the data tells you, because in order to be on the short list, the contracting officer needs to know, number one, that you exist. Number two, they can get to you and the path for doing that. You don't have to have a GSA schedule to do it, but you better have a partner who has one, right, Brian?
yeah.
You got to be able to answer that question. And the only way that you're going to find out from Brian what his preferred vehicle is, whether it's GSA or an internal IDIQ or blanket purchase agreement, whatever it happens to be, is asking Brian the question. And there's 77,000 Brians out there. By the way, Brian's gone. He can't buy anything from you anymore. But 77,000 of the people in the federal government can buy from you. So Windows, Carl, you need to know who is buying Windows,
Right.
and who's buying construction. That's your key piece that you have to do and be able to find that. And I know that you need a comprehensive strategy, because I've read your thing. You need to sit, we can sit down and talk about a comprehensive strategy, but we can also work with folks on the bottom parts here with GovBrief, your entire federal marketing package, and talking with Peter for funding. Just let us know what you want, and we'll make sure that all the folks here get to answer the questions that you need right there. So I really want to thank you. We do have actually a lead in from David from NTI. I don't know if you're here still, David. If you're here, raise your hand. What are the low cost, free is best? I'll argue with that all day long. Channels for small, micro, minority owned businesses to sell to the government, because they can buy on micro. What does micro mean, Brian Hebel?
Yeah, I do micros when I do my training, less than $10,000.
Yep.
So, and that information doesn't show up in Dave's, when Dave's talking about Beta SAM. Like I'm not even registered in SAM, but they're still buying from me for less than $10,000. So if it's, less than $10,000, they could, a lot of people within the individual agencies have credit cards.
Yep.
In the program shops. So if you can, it's still what Dave said, it's all about relationships. But if you have somebody within a program shop, or, and usually it's not the program manager, it's somebody else, but they have credit cards and their authority could be higher than $10,000, or they could do, in my case, they do they do this year. They're buying from me 7 times on 7 different purchases that are less than $10,000. So that's one way that, you know, you got to remember that we might have had 120 contracting officers at our agency, but there might have been 400 people out of 6,500 that had charge cards. So that is another way to you know, to approach it from that standpoint. And then so anyhow, so that is one way. And then if it's you know, less than $25,000, it's not on FedBiz Ops, it's got to be small business.
That'd be sam.gov for those of us who weren't around.
Yeah, and no competition less than 25,000. So, you know, if it's above 25,000, they're going to get competition. So anyhow, there's lots of different.
So I'm gonna encourage you, David, to stick around for just a minute. We'll show you Sam Radar, because that's exactly what we do with Sam Radar. We take a look and see what's happening. And it's not free, but it is cheap through the end of the year. It's definitely something that you can afford. So I do have a poll to see if anybody wants to stick around. We will hang on a second. I'm going to find this. The polls are not there. All right. So if you want a free NAICS report, we'll be able to do that. But if you would like, you can, if you'd like a free NAICS report, we will get that to you. Hang on a second.
Dave Lowe,
yes, sir.
before Santa goes, I have just one thing to say to you that I'm upset about.
What?
Die Hard is not the best Christmas movie. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you say. Die Hard is not the best Christmas movie out there.
See, now we got to throw down, because you're absolutely wrong. And the only thing I got to say is, if you want to hear anything else that Brian Hebel has to say, you're going to have to go to acquisitionhelp.com, because I'm going to mute him from here.
I want to go watch it just because you told me that. They wanted to charge me $3.99 for a 30-year-old movie. I said, no. I said, not $3.99. They should be giving me that movie for Christmas.
Yippee-ki-yay.
That's right. We won't say the rest of that line.
Well, happy holiday to everybody. I hope you get what you want as the new year approaches, and may everybody have a healthy new year.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Brian.
having me in today.
Thank you very much.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. It's always good to
Yeah.
see you, man. Even though you have poor taste in movies and you're too cheap to buy Die Hard.
See
So
y'all.
that's awesome. And I want to say thanks, Greg. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your insight there. And it is Q1, time to build relationships. Do yourself a favor, manage your expectations, because there's nothing about this that's fast. And the folks that have been here for a long time, they'll tell you it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You want to stalk the winners. I love it. I don't care what anybody says. Stalking is good in this industry. We're going to get proactive and stay persistent and persevere throughout this, because if you do, you will be a winner. So I'll let you know that we will, if you stick around, we're going to be talking about Sam Radar. And I want to say thank you very much, Sally White, Peter Timbers, Greg Clark. Carl, thanks for your questions, man.
Thank you very much.
Hey, man, I hope it was beneficial. A lot of folks think they're thinking the same way. So stick around. We're going to talk about this. And this is not December 13th. It is second week of January. So forget about the person that made that particular thing. But we will talk about Sam Radar if you want to stick around. We'll talk about that because Rob is here. We will be talking about the NAICS report too. I'll show you that and show you how to get it as well. If you want the free NAICS report, stick around, you get it. And we'll do that. All right, let me close. Did somebody close that down for me? All right, so let's do this. I'm going to pause this screen for just a second. Anybody got a couple last minute things before we jump out?
Hey, but I gotta go. Happy holidays and
happy holidays to you, man. Merry Christmas to you. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything you guys do. And if I'm missing anything in the Q&A, let's see. Seth says, does this also find NATO requests? Yes, sort of, potentially. I answered that one live. And then Todd will get you Brian Hebel's information, along with the fact that we got to catch up from last month because we dropped the ball. And James says, I believe I'm in a hub. I'm 80% disabled vet, but no clue how to get registered as SDVOSB. You need to talk to him. the good doctor. So we'll get that to you, James Shelby, and make sure we have that for you. Raphael is answering that question. Tiffany, if you're a hotel that would like to provide accommodations to a subcontractor that just won a government contract, what do you recommend on how we should solicit? You want to stick around for a minute, and I'll show you by looking at hotels that are winning to be able to solicit the people that are actually doing the purchasing. How you like that, Tiffany Young? Do that in a minute. And gotcha there. All right, we got all those things done. Wanted to make sure we did that. Let me get out of this, and I'm going to show you real quick. I promise we will keep you no more than another couple of minutes. I'm going to clear this, clear all the drawings. I have this, then I'm going to resume the share, get my mouse. This is the questions. See, I had all my questions from Angela and Carl. Let's see here. All right, so the first thing I want to do is if you want to get the free report, I'm going to send you there right now. I'm going to send you, and here's what it looks like. Can you guys see my screen? All right, so if you go here, you'll see the menu up here. Just if you hover, and I don't know what it is, if you click it, it goes away. But if you hover over it, it works. So you go to resources, and then you will see the report here. Let me get rid of that so I can actually see. And you can click this here, and you'll see the November 22 NAICS spending report. And you'll have access to it right here. Just download it. Just click this, and it'll automatically download. And when it downloads, you're going to open it up. And I love this report, by the way. We started doing this. Get rid of that one. If you want to edit it, you're going to have to click this enable editing thing. That's the one thing you want to do. And then all these tabs on the bottom are going to show you November, right? You'll see November. You'll see the vendors that won in November. If you're wondering where the government is spending money during a continuing resolution, only 11.5 billion. Sorry about your luck, right? So you have your vendors here. You have your NAICS report for November, and then you have your PSCs. I'm not going to go too much into PSC, product service codes, but those are also indicators of how they're buying and what they're using for the codes to do the purchasing. All right, so here you have all of the vendors associated for fiscal year 2022. So you can see there's 118,000 and change, right? And you can see the top vendors, probably folks that you might want to be teaming with, right? If they're winning all the business, probably a good idea to team with them. And what we love about this is you can use this UEI, you just copy this UEI, and you can track them in SAM Radar, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. But you also see with these, you see the fiscal year for spending, for PSCs, your NAICS, and the number of offers. And if I just point something out for you, the main reason we built SAM Radar is because of this chart right here. Because if we are not one of the few that are responding, the number of offers received. What is that? Greg Clark, you still here? I don't know if Craig's still here. But number of offers received says this is how many submissions we have, right? And Brian would tell you, and this is where I get it from Brian and all his friends on the inside, that this number usually means one. They just didn't carve it out. Every once in a while, you're going to have an outlier. I get it. But most of the time, if you're talking about sam.gov, oh, by the way, about 125,000 hit. And if you take a look at this number here, more than 5 is where you're going to usually find sam.gov. So this is where sam.gov lives, is in this area here. Sure, there's some outliers that are going to only have 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it happens to be. But I'm telling you, if you're bidding on sam.gov, it's mostly going to land in 5 or more. That is where we want to stay away. Yes, you want to be monitoring sam.gov positively, but we really want to live in the shortlisted space, don't we? What does that mean? That means that we want to help you do your number one job, which is build relationships. If you're a researcher, if that's what you're doing, stop researching, train Sam Radar to do the research for you so that you can do your number one job. Nobody else is going to build your business like you do. You've got to be out in front of these key decision makers to build that. So what does Sam Radar look like? I will show you what Sam Radar looks like. The first thing I will say is if you want to monitor for opportunities, let's go to sam.bid. Sam.bid actually monitors opportunities as soon as it hits sam.gov. It does exactly what sam.gov should do, but sam.gov does not do this the way that sam.bid does. Now, this is included with Sam Radar, so hold on, and I'll show you what this looks like. This is a solicitation. The officers they're due at 1:12 at 4 p.m. This happens to be for all other professional services. What does that mean? It means, well, they're looking for professional personal services contracts. What does that mean? Well, you don't really know. You want to know the number one reason why people buy sam.bid? It's this button right here that takes you to sam.gov, so you don't have to log in to see the opportunity. So now you can you say, I want to find out more information about that. And you can find all the information here that is posted with the attachments and the links. And you also can find the contacts that are associated right here, although you don't have to do that either because all the contacts are right here in sam.bid. So you can pursue them if you want to without ever logging into sam.gov. Number one reason why sam.bid exists. That's for the 2%, ladies and gentlemen. 2% are going to hit sam.bid because I can't give you anything that doesn't hit sam.gov for those 2%. Let's talk about the other 98%. Let's talk about this, because here's a great example of a contracting officer say that they received 500 offers. I find that hard to believe, but let's just say that it's the case because they put it out on sam.gov for that. So that's where you're going to find the number of offers received. That's above 5. Everybody agree with that? That's more than 5. Let's take a look and see what else we can find as far as the contracts that are associated. Here's one for us to review. And maybe you are in NAICS code for computer systems design is what this landed under, which is 541512. Let's take a look at what we just found and what Sam Radar just delivered us. First of all, it's $5.5 million that went to Cole Engineering Services. And it is for cyber training in the environment platform. And let's take a look at this right here. Number of offers received. Everybody see it? Not noted. So what are the chances that this guy, Blake, knows somebody at Cole Engineering and Cole Engineering knows Blake with Department of the Army? Right? And oh, by the way, just out of curiosity, if you go out and one of the questions was, how do you get the buyer to pay attention to you? Well, what if all you did was say, hey, Blake, I'd like to talk with you about the award to Cole Engineering Services that you made when? On 12/8. Is Blake going to remember that he awarded $5.6 million to Cole Engineering on 12/8 if you reach out to Blake today and say, hey, Blake, I'd like to talk with you about that. Maybe you compete with Cole Engineering. Maybe you have something else for cybersecurity protection programs that Blake needs to know about so that you can help him with a problem that they have with cyber problems within the agency of the Army. Does the Army have problems with cybersecurity? I do believe they do. Why would they be spending $5.6 million if they didn't? So if you do federal contracting and you want to do business in cybersecurity with the Department of the Army, Blake is one of the people that you should be talking to. So you have the option also with Sam Radar to say, hey, tell me, I'd like to sub to Cole Engineering, and I'm doing my best to do this behind the scenes so that I can log into Sam Radar And maybe you would like to communicate with Cole Engineering, and maybe you'd like to reach out to Brian Cole. Maybe we would reach out to Brian Cole because Brian happens to be the CEO, and here's his phone number, and here's an email address. And maybe you would like to get a referral to Brian from Blake. So you reach out to Blake and say, hey, who should I be talking to over at Cole? Because I'd like to sub to Cole. And maybe he'll say Brian Cole, or maybe it's Trevor, or maybe it's Matthew Thompson. But now you have 3 different contacts that you could reach out to because Sam Radar already did the research, so you don't have to do it. And the best part about Sam Radar is the more you use it, the smarter it gets, so that every time you can also track all of the competitors that you'd like to, right? You can track this prime and say, hey, I'm tired of Cole eating my lunch, so I want to track this vendor. And every time that they get an award, you know about it, so that you can reach out to Cole. And let's do this real quick and also look at the prime activity. I don't want you to dive too much into this. Just know that it's here. That if you also want to see what other business that Cole is doing, you can see it like that. So you can talk intelligently about the money that they're winning. There's the new order that you just saw, right? Well, here's another 49,000 and change. Here's another $1.6 million and change, $1.2 million and change, another million. So these folks are active, and you can absolutely win business either by subbing to Cole or going right after Cole's buyers and injecting yourself into the conversation with the folks like Blake. This is the magic of Sam Radar. It enables you to pull the thread and connect with the buyers as well as the primes with something that is on their mind. Then what you can say is, hey, is Blake a good contact? The system continues to learn from you so that every time you use the system, it gets smarter about what's most important to you. Now, make no mistake, you have to still do the relationship development because you want the relationship with folks like Blake. That's your number one job. Build relationships with folks like Blake. And if you're not quite big enough to compete with folks like Cole or somebody else, let's take a look at somebody else here. This is one for a study, right? And it falls under 541611, which is administrative management and general management consulting. And this happens to be for the Forest Service. Let's just call it out for what it is. It's a smaller contract. We learned a little bit about Brian for smaller contracts. Some folks here want to do smaller contracts. Here's Lindsay Christian with the Forest Service that bought from, I'm not sure exactly what this joint venture is, but it's a joint venture. TAC-G, an ENL joint venture. When did it get awarded? It was awarded on 11/30. So it's going back and saying, hey, this matters to you. And you can reach out to the buyer and you can reach out to the prime if you would like to. My recommendation is anytime you see this, go out and reach out to both of them. What does it hurt? You already don't have a yes from either Lindsay or TAC-G. So why not use this, leverage this, let the system do the research so you can build the relationships with the Lindsays of the world. This, by the way, is what Brian used to do every day. He used to be awarding contracts every single day or doing modifications. And we want to know about both, don't we? Because if we're paying attention to what's happening in the market and we're saying, okay, here's a modification, another one that every day will prove to you that contracting officers have a limited number of contacts that they reach out to. And Chantel Adams knows the art of mentoring. Never heard of them. But if you're doing mentoring, the chances are you should know about the art of mentoring. The system learns about you. It is custom entirely to you and what you are building in the federal marketplace. It'll take a little bit of time for it to learn you, just like you have to train your folks. But once you do it every day, and I'm saying for almost everybody here, in 100 days, you will have 100 leads. 100 leads with the Chantel Adams in your market that you're going to be pursuing. How many Chantel Adams do you need to have good sales in 2023 and 2024? Yes, I'm talking about 2024 because it may take you a little time to build that relationship, but we're going to give you that way in. Like you talked about, Carl, how do I open the door? Here's the door. Open the door, go reach out to Chantel and the rest of the folks that are playing in your space. Exactly the same way. Here's $851,000 for a small company named SAIC. In this instance, number of offers received is 6. Okay, but maybe you want to track SAIC. Probably don't want to do that unless you're paying attention to a very specific portion of SAIC because they're big boys. Let's see what else we can find. There's 145,000 to Oasis Systems. Hey, have you noticed anything in particular about this line right here? Number of offers received? Most of them are less than 5. That's because 79%, 89%, depending on the month. Last in November was 95%, had 5 or fewer. This is where we want to live, folks. We want to be one of the 5. And if you compete with Oasis System, no problem. Just track them and make sure that every time they get awarded something, you know about it. And you might be saying, but Dave, they're already getting awarded. That means we're losers. Yes, you lost, but you don't have to lose the next one. You can win the next one if you're reaching out to the Natalies of the world and just pulling the string and saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you about the award that you made to Oasis. We have some templates that you can use. Keep it short and simple. Don't even send your capability statement yet. Just reach out to Natalie. And oh, by the way, most of the time you have a phone number and almost always you have an email address because that's where we live. And oh, by the way, that is where Sam Radar lives because that way you can act right from here to contact the buyer about that award. You don't have to go any further. You don't even have to log into Sam Radar to do it. It gives you what you need to do what you need to do today to build relationships. This is what I've been after for 15 years. We launched it 3.5 months ago. And at the end of the month, the price is going to change. It's $249. You can lock it in because anybody who locks it in before the end of the year gets preferential treatment for the rest of your life. For as long as you are a member of Sam Radar, you get it for $249. You can cancel at any time. Let yourself understand what this means for your company. Sign up, try it for 7 days. If it's not a fit, you're going to know. But the first thing you want to do is sign up so that you can start to see, rewire your brain about going out and building those relationships. Let Sam Radar take care of it. And the question that it was is what's the least expensive way to do it? This is it. This is the most cost-effective way that you can possibly spend if you're small to be able to do the things right. Sam Radar will tell you what to do every day so that you have an action item to build relationships. And if you don't have 100 leads in 100 days on Sam Radar, I want to know. Because if you don't, I'm going to help you find them. Somewhere along the line, something got messed up because you should have 100 leads in 100 days in almost all the environments. Every once in a while, you get somebody like Jay Talbot, great guy, really specific. So we had to help him out in a different way. But I'm not going to let you fail. I want you to try this system, and I want you to see if you can build 100 leads in 100 days. Because that means that you have a pipeline that you can start feeding and developing those relationships so that you're ahead of the curve. And oh, by the way, you're reaching out to the people that are not hitting sam.gov. That is the biggest difference that you will possibly get. This is the other 98%. That means let the rest of the two, everybody else can go to the 2%. You spend your time here. You're not even going to run into those people anymore because they're on the wrong path. You'll be on the right path because you'll be doing exactly what Sam Radar wants you to do. And you're going to be teaching the system. So in 100 days, it's going to be tuned. And you're not in this alone. You're going to be in with a community of folks on Sam Radar like you would not believe. If you haven't tried it, if you haven't been, you have to come because of Monday Roundtables is all part of the system. You're already included as part of your Sam Radar membership. Your membership includes Monday Roundtables. It's where we get together and we talk about all kind of stuff. And we help you get through where you want to go. And it's not just me. It's not just my team. It's other Sam Radar users because they are where you want to be. And they'll help you get there. I promise you, they will help you get there. But you have to be there. You have to come. You have to use the system. Give it a shot. You can do it for free. My favorite 4-letter word. How do you do it? Here's what you do. You go to samradar.com, free trial. It's that complicated. And guess what? You can lock this in for as long as you stay. As long as you stay a member, it stays $249. That's going to change at the end of this month, and it's not going back. We have some serious, serious announcements coming for Sam Radar. You can start today. All right, guys, any questions about Sam Radar before I jump? Let's see. James, we got you that. Raphael's going to get you there. $249 is per month. It is the best $249 that you will spend. And it is a free trial. That's a Christmas present plus a birthday present from Chris Wagner because it's Chris Wagner's birthday. So there you go. Any other questions? I'll go back into the chat and make sure. Happy holidays. Very good. Where do you click to download the NAICS? 1 second. Hold on. Okay. It is in the chat, but you can also go to this menu. On Sam Radar, go to resources, and there is the November 22 NAICS spending report. And this will be here every month. I don't even care if you sign up or not, but it'll be here every month. We're going to do this every single month because this is really critical. Because if you're paying attention to what's happening in this report right here, you know that you want to be one of the 5. Eventually, you're going to be a Sam Radar user until there's no more slots, and there is limited slots. But we have some really exciting news. Please sign up, take the shot. Take the shot, stick with it for 100 days, and you will have 100 leads that you'll be able to use throughout 2023 and 2024 because they're swimming in your pool. All right, so do yourself a favor, go to samradar.com. It's right here. And the free trial is all over the place. You can learn more about it. You can meet $1 Million Sherry. By the way, 3 days is how long she was on here. $1 million contract. Don't believe me. Click on the link and listen to Sherry tell you. Without Sam Radar, she'd have missed it. So that's what I'm saying. Folks, this is different. It's changing the game in federal marketing. Click the free trial. You can go here. You'll get all these pieces. If you need enterprise or you need more people on it, we'll talk about that later. But let's get you on here so that you can get signed up. And oh, by the way, lock in the lower price for the entire time that you stay a member. It's not going to be $249 after January 1st. So make sure you do this now. Otherwise, it's going away. And then the commitment levels are going to start where you have to buy an annual subscription. That's what's coming next. I'm telling you, the first folks that are on here get preferential treatment forever. Everybody that's already a Sam Radar user knows this because I drill it in. I tell them, hey, you want to be here because you are going to get preferential treatment. And it's going to start in January and February. You're going to be guinea pigs for something that is super big. I'm telling you, come and do it. We're going to have a good time in 2023. We're already having a good time. And you can come and ask the Sam Radar users on Monday roundtables. They will tell you exactly how it works. Not from me, from the Sam Radar members. They're on your side too. We're all on the same path. Come and join us. And we're gonna let you guys out of here. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, any of the holidays that you celebrate. Happy holidays for that. And we appreciate you guys for joining us. Thanks for sticking around for this. It is so much fun to be involved in this world these days with you guys. And I want to thank everybody that was on us with Sally and Raphael and Brian. He's a superstar, as you can tell. Peter and Greg. Appreciate all you guys joining us as well. So we're going to let you go. And Sri, you are welcome, my man. We appreciate you guys. And Chris, happy birthday to you. And we're going to get you guys out of here. See you on Sam Radar as well as the Monday roundtables because it's included in your Sam Radar subscription. Use that membership to your benefit. It is absolutely going to be awesome. All right, guys. See you.